What's going on, guys? Welcome to our random video on this channel. In today's video, we'll be talking about the Warriors versus the Thunder. Everyone was talking about this game. There's a lot of hype around it, obviously because of Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. The Warriors won the game. If you didn't watch it, 130 to 114. I thought it was a fantastic game by the Warriors. Not their best game, but it was a pretty good game. And not only that, this team really wanted to get the ball to Durant because obviously they knew that the game was important to him. And they've been hearing a lot of stuff in the media, so I'm sure they really want to get the win also themselves because people are really hyping this game up. As far as the points here, we see Kevin Durant, he got 34 points. And even guys like McGee, I thought this was really impressive. JaVale McGee, 16 points. He was really in the paint and he was contributing. Of course, you have Klay Thompson and Steph Curry, both with 26 points. So they're really sharing the ball. And I've said this before about the Warriors, but when you look at this team, it's a Steve Kerr basketball team. This is not just about one player. Even though the game was important to Durant, we knew that they were going to play team ball. So while Westbrook was trying to lead the Thunder, it looked like the typical situation for the Oklahoma City Thunder. They don't have more people contributing besides Westbrook. It really is about him. Whether he's dishing the ball or he's getting the points, he tries the best that he can. And I thought it was kind of interesting, though, the way the Warriors were handling this game. If you saw Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, or even Steph, these guys are not really getting into the antics or even the animosity with the Thunder. This was more about Durant going back to his old team, seeing if he could get the win, and there wasn't drama from the Warriors. And I thought they handled it perfectly, because if you go into the arena and all the fans are yelling and the Oklahoma City Thunder, they were getting annoyed, and even Russell Westbrook was yelling at Durant, all of that kind of stuff. They have to do those kind of things because the Thunder are not as good as the Warriors. And yes, I am saying that because I root for the Warriors, shout out to DubNation, but we're also talking facts about what the Warriors are about compared to the Thunder or any other team in the league. Right now, the Warriors are the best team in the league for a reason, and it's because they have a great team and a great coach, and it's team ball mentality. They don't want to get the ball to one person because it's too much pressure on them. So they share the ball, they have great players on the team, and I thought it was a really impressive win. But back to JaVale McGee. He really had a great game. If you look at the team as a whole, and you think about things that have been said about the Warriors, they've been questioning whether McGee was going to be able to contribute. They're getting him the ball. He's able to get rebounds. You got Draymond Green getting rebounds, but I think there was something wrong with Draymond's shoulder. I don't know why there was a bandage on his shoulder or whatever, but there's something going on with Draymond. Draymond wasn't as active as he usually is. He got 6 points. He got some rebounds, but he wasn't really contributing that much during the game, and it could possibly be related to the injury that he has. I'm not sure what it is. There is a bandage on his shoulder, but besides that, I thought McGee was fantastic. He's stepping up, and as the Warriors have that attitude also, if one guy gets injured or he's not 100% in the game, then you got someone else that can contribute. Really great stuff from McGee. I think he's one of the people that I saw people actually talking about on Twitter. At least his name was trending. Now you know that he's in the conversation because people are acknowledging finally that this guy is serious about his game, and he was balling. This was a game from JaVale McGee, and I think we're going to see that a lot this season from him because he's continuously getting better, and the team is getting him involved in the offense also. You know, someone like Steph Curry has to scramble around the screens, and if you can get that ball to the center when he's open and he can get a layup or a dunk, these are called easy points. So I thought that was really good for the Warriors. And as far as the game itself, I guess we have to talk about the drama. Russell Westbrook versus Kevin Durant. And you know, I think Kevin Durant really handled the situation as best as he could because the fans were really giving him a hard time. And also, of course, you had Westbrook yelling at him, all kinds of stuff. Everyone was talking about this game. The media was constantly talking about what an important game this was to Westbrook. And I guess Kevin Durant also. But they're really making it sound like, well, if Westbrook won the game, this is going to mean something. You know, no offense to the Cavaliers, no offense to the Thunder, and no offense to any other team out there that really tries to compete with the Warriors. But the Warriors are the best team in the league right now for a reason, like I said before. And that's because they're a fantastic team. And when you see them go up against the Thunder and Russell Westbrook is going all out, it's because he probably knows that he doesn't have really a good opportunity this season to go to the finals. He just doesn't have the team around him to do that. Now, could anything happen? Sure, it's the NBA. But we don't think it's going to happen because we see the Thunder and we compare them to a team like the Warriors, and the Warriors are the better team. I would also have to say this, though. As far as the animosity between Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant, there doesn't need to be that much animosity. And some people out there are going to say, well, it's about sports and there's a rivalry and let them fight each other or whatever. At some point in time, as Kevin Durant said, I think, they need to talk and just have a conversation, whatever it is. And if you want to have the rivalry, go in the games, have that rivalry, and compete. All this other kind of stuff, like somebody on the Thunder went up to Kevin Durant and they literally went head to head. and there was almost a fight and all that kind of stuff. That's not necessary. It really isn't. Now, there is a rivalry there, and of course there's going to be because Kevin Durant went to the Warriors. But as far as the fighting and the yelling and all that kind of stuff, the Thunder are just not as good as the Warriors. And that's what I was watching. A team that's not as good, and they wanted to hype up this game. And of course, they wanted to show their fans that they were really serious about competing. But if a game like this is not going to be a win for your team, and you knew that you weren't going to win at that point, because honestly, even in the third quarter, you could even say in the second quarter, I mean, the Warriors, when they put up the points, they're putting up points, and they have that way about them because they have the capability, and they have the shooters. So I just thought it was kind of interesting that the Thunder went about it that way. I don't think it was necessary, and I also think at some point in time, those two guys should talk, shake hands, play basketball. That's what it's all about. Now, as far as anything else during this game, I also thought it was interesting. If you guys were watching the game and you heard Mark Jackson talking about the all-time greats, really interesting stuff that he said. I don't know if you guys heard it, but I am going to be talking about it because I thought it was kind of weird that he was going about it in this way, talking about even Draymond Green and some of the other guys on the Warriors, and then talking about even someone like John Stockton or Reggie Miller, because when he started the conversation about the all-time greats, and if you don't know about Mark Jackson during these games, when he's calling the games with Jeff Van Gundy, they do a lot of this. They talk about a lot of different things, of course. A lot of people get annoyed. In this situation, I thought it was really odd that he wanted to talk about Draymond Green because Draymond Green, I guess, had said that he didn't agree with what Charles Barkley was saying one way or the other, and saying that Charles Barkley never won championships, which is true. But Mark Jackson said, you know what, that's not right, because what about Reggie Miller or John Stockton, and that's not right, you shouldn't have said that, all that kind of stuff. The thing, though, is, as I've said in other videos, Mark Jackson, Reggie Miller, Jalen Rose, they have a few things in common. One, they all work in sports media. Two, they all have been involved with the Pacers as former NBA athletes. And three, they never won any championships. And actually four, they all seem bitter. So they have a few things in common. If you didn't win championships, you didn't win championships. And Draymond Green has won a championship. So now you have to talk about Draymond Green as an NBA champion. And if he says a Charles Barkley who has never won a championship really can't say anything about that, he has a point. And he's right about that. And by the way, when Draymond's running and he has his finger in the air, he really reminds me of Dennis Rodman. You have to watch Dennis Rodman. If you don't know about Dennis Rodman when he's in the NBA, you heard about him obviously if you're a basketball fan. But if you didn't watch the games when he was in the NBA, Google it, watch on YouTube. Because Draymond Green just, every time I see Draymond Green now, it's really hilarious to me. He just looks like someone who's been watching a lot of tape of Dennis Rodman, which means that he's getting better on defense, obviously. He's getting better at rebounding. He can even contribute to the offense. Really impressed with Draymond Green. Probably the first person I would say this about somebody who can actually really be in the game like Dennis Rodman. You know, have that kind of attitude. And I'll also say this much. A lot of people like to say Russell Westbrook is a competitor. He is a competitor. But if you look at his attitude during the games, it's not necessarily always the best for his team. And sometimes with Draymond Green, he gets really angry and stuff or whatever. He goes to Steve Kerr. Actually, today, Steve Kerr was actually laughing because when Draymond Green was talking about a foul, I think. And he just goes up to Steve Kerr and starts saying stuff. And I think Steve Kerr was like, I don't know why he called the foul. But it was really funny because rather than argue with the ref, he goes right to Steve Kerr. And I think it's a better approach for him. And as far as Russell Westbrook is not going to get those calls from the refs if you're continuously yelling at them. And some people have brought this up related to the fact that Russell Westbrook is not a starter in the All-Star game. And sometimes it does have to do with your attitude. You need to know how to talk to the referees so your team can get the calls. It doesn't always have to do with that specific call. So if you're fouled and the referee doesn't call it, there is a way to talk to the ref. So I just think it's kind of messed up because I think Russell Westbrook just has a one-track attitude where most of the time he's not getting the benefit of the doubt from the referees, and there's a reason for that. And it's because of his attitude. He just needs to really change that up at some point in time if you want to win. Because usually the players are winning, they're not always yelling at the refs, and they know they need those refs to understand sometimes if they get fouled. I don't root for the Thunder, just saying what I'm watching. I would say that's an honest opinion about Russell Westbrook, and if he wants to get better, he's probably going to have to do that also. Because sometimes when I watch Russell Westbrook, I think, you know what, Michael Jordan said that he's a terrific player. He is a great player. But he could be even better if he knows how to talk to the refs, if he understands that if he really gets angry during the game and he starts yelling at people or whatever, that's not necessarily the best for his team. And also when they get another guy on that team that can actually help him, if he decides to stay with OKC, then you have to start talking about how you're going to be a better team player, making your team better. And I'm not saying that Russell Westbrook doesn't share the ball. Obviously, if he's getting triple doubles right now, he's doing it also with assists. But you have to think about this. What's going to make that team better? And if you look at all the championship teams, it's about team ball, and this is why the Warriors are so great. But just back to what Mark Jackson was saying. Honestly, Mark Jackson seems kind of bitter because he didn't win a championship. And that's what it sounds like. And not only that, again, you're going and calling a game where your former team that fired you is in the game. And those are the Warriors. Because at one point in time, he was saying how great of a coach the Thunder's coach is, and saying how he had a great college career and he's going to be in the Hall of Fame or whatever. But when you were talking about the Hall of Fame, I thought it was very interesting that you even talk about Steve Kerr. I don't know. I mean, Steve Kerr's won the championships as a player, and now he's won a championship as a coach. But if you're calling that game and you used to work for that team and you got fired, you probably don't want to say too many things about Steve Kerr. That's what it looked like. Sometimes Mark Jackson has said things about Steve Kerr, even last season, I think it was, basically saying that Steve Kerr just started working for the Warriors and then they won. But people have to acknowledge what happened before all of that, before Steve Kerr was coaching the team. He was pretty much saying something like that. And it just seems very bitter. And the reason I say that is because there's a continuous situation with ESPN and the sports media and the way they talk about the Warriors and all the drama and continuously saying things about Kevin Durant. You know, all these things that you guys are saying. You think that you have a point, but you're talking about the best team in the league. And also you're talking about an all-time great person for the NBA, and that's Steve Kerr. Not only that, we're talking about the fact that he's won a championship, and he's won championships as a player. So you got to recognize when you see the talent. And when you talk about Draymond Green, you're not just talking about an average NBA baller. This guy is fantastic on defense, fantastic on offense, and he can contribute as a motivator. So when you talk about the team itself, they're looking at Draymond Green as one of the guys, as a leader. I'm just saying, that's real talk. And Mark Jackson knows Draymond Green, but he's trying to pull something out of nowhere about Draymond Green and the fact that he would say something like that because when he was coaching the team or when he knew Draymond, he didn't have a championship at the time, but people wanted to ask him for advice because he was a leader on the team or something like that. You know, if you start talking about Draymond, we're going to have to start talking about NBA championships, and Draymond Green is a champion. But Draymond Green is showing a lot better potential than even you when you were in the NBA. No offense to you, but Draymond has that kind of influence on his team. We're talking about motivation. We're talking about championships. We're not just talking about someone who's on a team and wants to watch on the sidelines. I'm not saying that you did that while you were on the Pacers, but we're talking about a team that actually wins. Since you've talked to Draymond Green as a player when you coached him, he's now a player that's won a championship, and not only that, he's a leader for the team. So we're talking about what's going on now, not back in the day when you coached the Warriors or wherever else. And by the way, if you guys want to bring up all that kind of stuff when you coached the Warriors and everything else going on with the Warriors back in the day, we can also talk about the fact your assistant coach was recording player conversations and the ownership didn't know about it and they fired you because you didn't communicate that with the owners. I mean, that's actually what happened. So it's a really interesting thing with the sports media, and it's not just him doing the trashing about the Warriors. You also have Jalen Rose, who made some kind of comment the other week about Steph Curry not being in the commercials for ESPN, basically saying he wasn't that impressive recently. I don't know what he's talking about. Steph could put up the points. He put up the points today, 26 points. He continuously puts up points, and he's a leader for the Warriors. You really can't trash Steph Curry. If you don't know about the Warriors, you should watch more games before you start chirping about that team or those players, because they're that good. And if you want to ask anyone, you might want to ask the fans that are a part of DubNation, because they watch this team, they know what's going on. So I'm sure when they see this stuff going on with the other people chirping about them, they're probably laughing because it's so ridiculous, because the Warriors can ball. You know, one of the things I thought was interesting, the reason why I was saying how impressed I was with McGee is because so many people in the sports media were questioning whether he was going to be able to contribute for the Warriors. Have you guys watched the games? He is contributing every game that he's in. So I'm just saying, if you want to talk real facts about the Warriors, better watch those games. You better know what's going on before you start saying anything about them, because you have some impressive guys on this team. It seems like what was happening in the beginning of the season, they had to get used to Kevin Durant, and they had to get used to sharing the ball. They're not going to win every single game, but now you see these guys in a rhythm. When the ball goes out to Klay Thompson, you don't even know it's going to go out to him, because sometimes you got Steph in a rhythm, or even Durant, and he's hitting his shots. That is what their team is about. It's team ball, and it's these guys sharing the ball so they can get the win. They're the best team in the league. So anyways, I would like to know what you guys think about all of this. If you watched the game, let me know what you thought about the rivalry between Westbrook and Durant, or even about the Warriors or Thunder. And of course, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. I'll see you guys next video. Peace out.